Yes, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. I am your host, Hector Sparks John. We have been out for a few weeks because of the consultation that was going on electoral reform. So we are back this week with you. And as we always do, just reach out and touch each and every one of you at home and abroad listening. You listen to Sports Rap with Lobby in Auto State here at Lockhart Sebastian and Mr. Ozzy Lewis in studios with DJ Shan. Good evening, Lambi. Hope all is well for you and the family. I just want to big up each and every one of you who continue to listen to us. Tonight, every other night, we always touch on issues of national importance and ensure that we educate each other, learn from you, and as we bring out the message to you as a party, on behalf of the leadership of our party, Dr. Thompson Fountain, our leader, our political leader, our deputy political leader, Mr. Clement Masler, our president, Mr. Lennox Linton, and deputy president, Mrs. Francisca Joseph. That's one, and the leadership of the United Workers Party. Just want to wish you a good evening and all the best. Just want to reach out and touch you and your families at home and abroad. Those of you who celebrated birthdays during the week, happy birthday to you, Selma. I know you're celebrating happy birthday, your birthday under some trying circumstances because of all the deaths going on and everything. I just want to reach out and touch each and every one of you. Yeah, Selma Louis in Salisbury. And as we always do, quickly tonight, we just want to reach out and touch some families who have lost loved ones, the families of Val Telemark of Wesley. He was the deputy principal at the Northeast Comprehensive School. He passed away sometime last week. I just want to reach out to him, his family, the school, the entire school of the Northeast Comprehensive teachers, staff, students on the passing of Val. Also, we heard of the passing of Kevin Angol, who was a teacher of the Convent High School. I just want to reach out and touch his family and also the entire convent fraternity on his passing. Also, had the passing of Cleo Vidal of Salisbury. He works my neighbor. We grew up together. Doesn't want to reach out touch his entire family in Salisbury. There's a lot, so I will not call names too much. Family of Renica Alexander of Collie, who resided in Salisbury. Doesn't want to reach out and touch the family as well. We had the passing of Father Glanville Joseph. Most of us know him as Father Joe. He used to be in St. Joseph and all over the different parishes. Very jovial, very friendly, very strict priest. He was one of my favorite priests back in the day. Just want to reach out and touch his family. He passed away in Maryland. So sympathies to the entire Catholic fraternity in Dominica on the passing of Father Joe. Also the passing of Mr. Garnet Louis in Canada. He lived in Macam, Ontario. Just want to reach out and touch his entire family, Bobby, all the rest, Lester, Ganroy, Gina, Jeanette, Allison, Wynand, each and every one of you. Is a lot. Clem in Antrisel. Everybody does want to reach out and touch all his family in England, Hills, with all his nieces and nephews in Salisbury. His nieces and nephews, they are also, some of them are also my siblings. Just want to reach out and touch them. Janet and all the others, Reggie, Agostina, Yusfield, Janet, Eldika, and all the others. Adeline, simple vis to you on the passing of Mr. Garnet Louis, and also the passing of Mr. Francois Barry. Francois Barry, who served as a member of parliament for the Kalango territory under United Workers Party from 1993 when he won the by-election to 2000. He also served as a parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports, Youth Affairs and Sports under the leadership. I just want to reach out and touch his family. Mr. Barry, those of you would know Mr. Barry was I know sports about the discussion, but tonight we'll be focused on Mr. Barry, expecting to get a call from Mr. Edison James and Mr. Ron Green. Dr. Thompson Fountain will be joining us as well. Each and every one of you tonight, we're going to have a discussion about Mr. Barry, the role he played as a member of Parliament and a member of the United Workers' Party. Mr. Barry and I, we had some very good discussions about things affecting him and his community, his constituency, especially the Kalinago territory, and the health issue. He spoke a lot about it. When he was in the hospital, I visited him as well. And I just want to reach out and touch his wife, his children, and each and every one of you in the Kalinago territory who knew Mr. Barry, and not just as a politician, but also a teacher and disciplinarian, and a sports, one of the sports historian in the Caribbean. I think Mr. Barry had the most history. Mr. Barry could tell you where somebody scored 100 and how he scored the 100 and what year, what date, what time, and that is Mr. Francois Barry. And he played a very vital role in doing some achievements in the Kalinago territory while he was there as a parliamentary representative. So we just want to reach out and touch his family. And tonight we'll be speaking about Mr. Francois Barry. Good evening and welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, Lambi?
Hey, this is Sparks. This is Mr. Ron Green.
Okay, Ron, yeah, I'm just standing by for input on Barry tonight.
You can go right out. I was just speaking about him. I was going to read something from the manifesto of 1995, but seeing that you're calling Mr. Green, I would just want you to share your experience with Mr.
I can hardly hear you, but let me just lower my volume on the program so I can, okay.
Yeah, along the volume, man. I think you should hear me. I'm hearing you clearly. Are you hearing me clearly now?
That's better, yes.
Yes, Mr. Green. I was just saying that I started speaking about Mr. Barry. Was just going to read his profile we had about him on the 1995 United Workers' Party manifesto, A Better Life for All Our People. That was the manifesto, UWP for sure. And I was just going to read the profile on him, but seeing that they call in Mr. Green, he was your junior in the Ministry of Education, Sports and Youth Affairs. Can you tell us?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. So can you go right ahead, and the mic is yours, Mr. Green. Go right ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to express my deep condolences to the family, his wife, and the whole family, and the people of the Kalinago territory. I think they've lost a giant. They've lost a man who cared deeply for his people. There are two big things that he was passionate about. One was his people, his Kalinago people, and the second, cricket, of course. He fit in very well in the Ministry of Education, and I recall vividly that from the beginning he was an invaluable asset. That's because he was a mature man, a man who was a father, a family man, a community-based person, lived all his life in the territory, and had 25 plus years experience as a teacher. Teacher Barry was known as. So he was well versed in our primary education in particular.
31 years as a teacher.
Yeah, plus quite a long while, yeah. And he was loved as a teacher. He was a very dedicated teacher, and he rose to become a principal. So at the time he got elected in 93, I think it was, yes, he was a principal of a primary school. So as a man that rose within the system and contributed immensely to his people and to Dominica in the education system. As a result, he has a lot of insights into primary education, into the students, challenges they face, into the staffing and overall system, which was something very important for the challenges that we as a party and the Ministry of Education had to face in that period of 95 when he got re-elected to 2000. And his personality fit in quite well. He was very warm and he was friendly and he was prepared to work. For all practical purposes, he was sort of like the junior minister of education, youth and sports, and we worked very closely together for those 5 years.
Yes, Miss. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I thought you were. Go right
No,
ahead.
I don't want to be too long, but a lot of his contribution had to do with the challenges that we faced in education in that period and some of the achievements that we were able to get under our belt in that period. So perhaps as you go along, I could, cite some of those.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, we entered very determined as a party. In fact, we were labeled the Education Party. And there's no doubt that the Prime Minister Edison James, and the other top leadership of the party were committed to education. And I felt extremely honored myself to be called upon by the UWP to be the Minister of Education, Youth and Sports. So we entered determined to get things done because clearly the performance evaluations of the World Bank, which we had a chance to review upon coming in, indicated that there was underperformance in that sector over the previous 15 years or so by the Freedom Party. Yes, they were committed. They mentioned many attempts to do things in education, but somehow delivery wasn't as full as they would have liked. In fact, I remember saying from one of the top people in our party that the pipes were clogged, and all you had to do was open the pipes, and we would be able to achieve quite a bit. But there were multiple challenges in education, and we set off to ensure that education got a major boost in planning and staffing, secondary education, primary education. But the one that stood out most was secondary education, because this idea that only high 30% of our students leaving primary school could get entrance into secondary school was, to me, very damaging. We're talking high 30s, maybe 38, 37% or so, that could get access to secondary education, which meant that somewhere around 62 or 63% could not get a space or entry into secondary education. So that became one of the key points and a key focus. We keyed in on secondary education and the issue of space. And that resulted in, well, for all practical purposes, 4 secondary schools being built, and Castlebury Secondary School, the Granby Secondary School, major extension in PSS Portsmouth, and the complex in Wesley. So you could see that we really keyed in on the issue of secondary education, and Barry was right there, right part of that, of all of those challenges. I'm just mentioning some of them. Of course, right. Primary education was one of them too, because reading levels were very low, and how do you really tackle that? And can you get the teacher training up to a high level in a short period of time? Fortunately, we were able to train 25 education personnel to higher education, 10 of which did master's degrees. Now, it would be difficult to mention all of the challenges that we faced and all the things that we did, but I just keying in on a few. I just want to make the point that Barry was right there, Brother Barry, as I called him, was right there. I had an opportunity to see him about 3 weeks ago at the hospital, and we chatted. And he really was anxious to leave and to get home and to be in the Kalinago territory, even with only one leg. And he said, "No, I'll manage. I'll be in my wheelchair. I'll move around."
Yes.
But unfortunately, he passed, and I'm sure he was very proud of the achievements that we were able to get in that 5-year period. I don't think there's any other 5-year period in our education. I don't want to boast about it, but I don't think there's any other 5-year period that there have been so many achievements, in education.
But also, Mr. Green, he was very passionate about sports in his in the Kalinago territory.
For sure.
I remember about the Jolly John playing field.
Yes, he was instrumental in getting that done. In fact,
right.
Yes.
I played there. I played cricket there just around the time it was completed with Cavaliers, and he was very instrumental in that somewhere in the 90s. Another thing about Mr. Barry, he worked with you, Mr. Green. What about the genuine concern, the kind of concerns he had about his people? You made mention about sports and the Kalinago people. What type of concerns he had about the Kalinago people in his time as PAL rep for the area?
Well, one of the things I knew that he worked hard on was the issue of expanding the territory itself, the acreage, and the fact that the territory had gotten minimized over the years. And I know that that's one of the achievements that he played a key hand in.
About 90 acres, somewhere in Wakama, around Richmond area.
Yes. And then he played a key role too and he was very excited about the fact that the secondary school was going to be built in Casspruce. I remember he and Rome being very supportive, about getting all that had to be done to ensure that school was built, including the land space. I remember Rome had to travel to Antigua, and Barry was very much part of the fact that there was going to be a secondary school so close to the territory that would ensure that education would be fully available to the primary students from the Kalinago territory.
You said that you spoke with him a few weeks ago. I spoke with him as well. I went there to see him. And what were some of the concerns he had? I know he had a serious concern about the health issue in the Kalinago territory. He repeated that to you as well.
Yes, he did. In fact, he was concerned about the attention that he was getting at the hospital. Mm-hmm. And although he didn't detail what would happen when he went home, but obviously hidden in that concern about the hospital was the concern about the support he would have in Salabia.
We also
medical support.
We also have a political leader standing by, Dr. Thompson Fontaine. I saw him a while ago, but let's make sure that we get him to come in as well in the discussion a bit. But Mr. Green, something else I would like us to really not just talk about Barry, Mr. Barry, but the Kalinago territory in terms of where it is. When Mr. Barry was there, we spoke about the Barana Ote. He worked on, also he worked on bringing water, pipeline water to the Kalinago territory and the land, and he was very much involved in sports and doing other things. Mr. James made a point, Mr. James, we expect him to call in as well, that Mr. Barry would walk everywhere with his notebook. Everybody he met, every concern they had, he would note it down, because that was the person he was in terms of taking data, ensuring that when he visits you and you raise a concern with him, he'll take note of it and make sure he has it in his exercise book. But that was Mr. Barry you knew.
Well, I mean, he was dedicated to the task of being a good PAL rep, and that was part of it to ensure that he remembered all the things that people asked or people suggested or ideas that came up, so that he could bring them up at the relevant time. And he did that well.
Okay, Mr. Green, I just want to thank you for calling in and making your contribution. First batsman, Mr. Barry would say first batsman. He batted first on Mr. Barry tonight. I just want to thank you because he worked with you and you had that experience with him. And it's good that Dominicans can hear from you as the minister. You were the Minister of Education at the time when Mr. Phosphor Barry was your deputy, and you all worked together and the experiences that you had with Mr. Barry. Thank you very much, Mr. Green, for calling in.
All right. All the best.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night. Yes. You're listening to the Workers' Voice, and tonight we're just having a discussion about the late Phosphor Barry, who was a member of parliament for the Kalinago territory under the United Workers' Party government. He also served before the United Workers' Party government in 1995, but he also served as parliamentary representative for the Kalinago territory from 1993. 1995, United Workers' Party got into government, and where they worked to better the lives of the people of the Kalinago territory and Dominica by extension. Before Mr. Dr. Thompson Fontaine join me, and maybe Mr. James Collins. And we get other calls. We're going to open the line, and tonight we'll be just talking about Mr. Phosphor Barry, the late. Anybody that will want to call and make a contribution, the experiences they had with Mr. Phosphor Barry, will entertain that. Phosphor Bernard Barry, parliamentary representative for the Salina. I am just reading from the 1995 United Workers Manifesto Victory, a better life for all our people, and page 47, where they have a profile on Mr. Phosphor Barry. Phosphor Barry, educator, community worker, your candidate for Salibia. Phosphor Bernard Barry, parliamentary representative for the Salibia Atkinson constituency, has served in the Dominica Parliament since December 28th, 1993. That's when he won the by-election when Dr. Warrell Sanford left. He was born in the Kalinago territory on February 17, 1944. So that means Mr. Barry was 79 and has lived all his life in the midst of the wider native family. He is married and is the father of 5 children. During his 31 years as a teacher, Teacher Barry tried to instill in his students a sense of pride in themselves as an Aboriginal people and a deep commitment to their Carib heritage. From his tutelage have emerged policemen, nurses, teachers, the first Carib priest, the first Carib doctor. His teaching career began in 1959 at the Salibia Government School. He obtained a University of the West Indies teacher's certificate in 1969. He attended the Dominica Teachers College in 1976 to 1978. Phosphor Barry has been an avid sports administrator for the area since 1972. He has organized overseas tours and was instrumental in bringing an English touring cricket team into the Kalinago territory. Amongst his achievements since his election are the establishment of a trust fund for the education of indigenous people, the provision of computers and radios for schools in the area, the provision of medical kits for all the schools in the area, securing an old age pension for some needy persons, infrastructural improvement, the appointment of a medical officer for the district. Phosphor Barry, with his wife Mildred, a dedicated catechist teacher, and their children, exemplify the value of Christian life. That is what you have written in the United Workers' Party manifesto for 1995 about the late Phosphor Barry. And tonight we'll be speaking about Mr. Barry. I had a lot of conversations with Mr. Barry. He used to call me Spaggy. And, he would call me all the time. It's either cricket, politics, and a lot of issues about the Kalinago territory. He spoke about the health issues because he was a diabetic patient and he was worried about people, the person coming there to give the dispenser coming to Kalinago territory on odd occasions and people not getting the medication on time. Some of them cannot go to Roseau and purchase the medication, but diabetic patients and other patients who need their prescription refilled. And that was a concern for him that with 2 health centers in the Kalinago territory and no, some of them don't have nurses, they're closed, they have to go to Castlebruce or Marigot or Roseau to get medical attention or if you want something done. And that was a concern for him. And sadly, that concern he was raising on several. He called already about it, but he spoke to individuals about it. He spoke to. I said when I visited him at the hospital the day after they amputated his leg, Mr. Barry was so worried because he left his phone charging, and when he came back, it's not on a charger. Somebody took the phone at the hospital, and that was his only form of communication to his family, his wife especially, and he was really bothered about that. And even though that he got a phone a day or two after. I think that in itself shows the level of discomfort that our patients and especially elderly have at the hospital, and things like that we need to work on. I think these are the concerns that Mr. Barry used to raise on a regular basis. We know he spoke about his sports, something cricket. He knew everything about cricket, no matter where it was played around the world, no matter what year. Mr. Barry would tell you where Gordon Greenidge or V.V. Richards scored that century and who bowled him at that time, and where, you know, it's Africa, South Africa or Australia, New Zealand. Mr. Barry could tell you that, and that is the type of person he was. He was a very, he would speak about his experiences going to Barbados and watching a West Indies play, and that was the love he had for the sport, and also helping develop what inspired in Carnago territory, even though he was not part of it at the latter stage, but the Carnago Premier League. So, and you had cricketers coming from the Carnago territory like Gilbert Burton, Adam Sanford, and the others who made Calvin Hodge, and the others who made Dominica and the West Indies cricket team. So I just want to, those of you over there who had engagements with Mr. Barry while he was alive, and you wanted to say something about Mr. Francois Barry, the lines are open. I'm going to open the lines for you to include you in the discussion tonight as we discuss about Mr. Francois Barry, the late Francois Barry, who played a very vital role as part of the United Workers' Party government from 1995 to 2000. So the lines open 4493095, 4493096, 4493097. Overseas line 305-432-9624. 305-432-9624. Those of you watching us on Facebook, you can also make your comments. Just give us some of the ideas, things that you remember with Mr. Barry on Q95 Radio FM on Facebook. And you can WhatsApp at 265-4334. 265-4334. We're also expecting to hear from Mr. Edison James, the former Prime Minister who Mr. Barry worked with from 1995 to 2000. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Good evening, Spaz.
Good evening. Let me just introduce you. Let me just introduce you, sir. This is Mr. Peter Carbon. He was the Minister of Agriculture in Dominica from 1995 to 2000, and Mr. Barry's colleague in the government at that time. Mr. Carbon, the line is yours. Go right ahead.
On behalf of myself and my family, I wish to extend condolences to the family of Mr. Barry. He was a very, very good Dominican, a real lover of people. And we worked well together. We did a lot of stuff. As Minister of Agriculture, I got involved with a lot of projects in the Caribbean territory during this time. As you know, we had the settled land issue for them, give them additional lands to extend the size of the reserve. I can't remember how many acres now, but
about 84 to 90 acres. Yeah, about that.
Yes. And we implemented a very good project, the Dominica Rural Enterprise Project, which was being implemented in the Caribbean territory. And the whole idea was to stimulate business activities in the territory. We were working on cassava processing and the replanting of laome. Laome is what they used to do the craft. So, as you know, we had a program to commercialize the craft industry at the reserve, at the territory, and part of the program was to extend the planting of laome, and that was into that program. And we also had a guarantee fund to put a credit union that will introduce credit to the people of the territory, because, as you know, because they have got a title for a land, the use of credit was very limited, and we wanted to kind of train them by having a guarantee fund where we put the money in the credit union and they will be able to borrow from that money. That I don't think I never took off because we left government. And as you know, we had the Chapo Pie and we had the Carib Village. So a lot of stuff that we were doing, and he was the leader. Barry was involved in everything that we did down there. He was always there to give us the input of his people. And I really miss him. I mean, I miss all my colleagues. I miss Dominica. But that's the way it is. I just sorry I won't be here for his funeral, but I will be there in spirit. So good. I would love to say hello to everybody and keep on the fight. Following what's going on. I know all people has. I think the major problem Dominicans have forgot the role of government, what government can do to improve their lives, and everybody believes that the government can treat them like birds in a nest that can never fly, that they have to sit down and wait for their food, you know, and no other government in the history of Dominica treated all people like that. They always had believe in the people, have confidence in the people's ability, and just develop programs and opportunities for them to build their lives. It's the first time in the history of Dominica. I grew up under E.O. Leblanc. I was a young boy there, and I knew what he did to give my parents the opportunity to build wealth and to help us, you know, because they had nothing before that. So it's the first time in the history of Dominica that our government have no confidence in our people. And they believe all they're good for is to sit down and get little gifts from the government. So we need to wake up our people, tell them that can't take them anywhere. If you want to make progress in life, you have to go out and sweat, because by the sweat of thy brow, thou shalt eat bread and thou shalt prosper.
Yeah, Mr. Cab, before you leave,
yes.
Mr. Cab, let's tell us one thing that stand out with you, Mr. Barry, working with Mr. Barry, one thing that stood out with you.
Well, what stood out, Mr. Barry was always concerned about the welfare of his people. He always was concerned about the banana industry, because we had the bananas there. So being Minister of Agriculture, he always said me, but what we doing now? We had the boxing plants and
in Salibia, yes.
In Salibia, and he was very much involved in helping maintain it and provide the services to the farmers. He also was involved in the coconut industry, because they had a lot of coconut, and copra was a big industry. So he was always concerned about expanding that, because he knew that's the way his people could make money. And he was definitely involved in the life of his people. I mean, that's what I remember about him, you know. I remember when we had to do the water, bring the water to Calabrese, you see, that was one of his priority, you know, and we got it done. We built feeder roads, repair feeder roads, build new roads from Concord coming up on that side. He was very much involved. Barry was involved in everything that going on in his constituency. You know, he was more constituency man than even a government man. You know, because yep. All right, well, good night and good luck, man. I hope the party gave him a good send off.
We'll be visiting him tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes.
His family tomorrow. Okay, yes. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Cabs, for calling in. Mr. Peter Carbon, he was the Minister of Agriculture during the time that Mr. Phosphor Barry served under the United Workers' Party government. As I said tonight, the lines are open. We can, if you had an interaction with Mr. Barry, sports, politics. He's someone that was very vocal on these issues, and I know that there's some of you out there would like to reach out and just reach out to his family and just extend sympathies and say anything that you would like to say in terms of your interaction with Mr. Barry. We welcome them. Someone sent me a message saying that Mr. Barry was proud about his Toyota, and just a little humor told us that Hector, Mr. Barry had loved his Toyota, aka Toolless and socks, always walking with his head up. You know, Mr. Barry would always walk with his head up. No matter where we meet him in Roseau, his head was always up, walking with pride and walking with confidence, and a real man who has served his country and, you know, his people, and he was proud about that. He just wanted them to move on to have better lives, you know, the Kalinago territory being more developed. As Mr. Carbon spoke about the banana industry, I worked in the industry around that time, and when we had the Salibia boxing plant, and the amount of farmers who would come to the Salivia boxing plant and get the inputs, get the boxes, and would come up to Roseau to sell bananas. You know, you have to be waiting for a lot of them as well. There was a guy named Lazarus Samuel who would carry bananas, and also Richard. You know, these guys would carry a lot of bananas from the Kalinago territory. And Sunday, a lot of other names that I would remember. Sebastian Hippolyte, he passed away, would carry bananas from Clint Rabes and all the others. Wilbur Rabes, ice clean dad, would carry bananas from the Kalinago territory to the port. And Mr. Cabon made mention about copra as well. A lot of the Kalinago people in the Kalinago territory, they were producing copra, a lot of copra for DCP. And so you had a lot of copra houses in the Kalinago territory, especially around the Christmas time when they would have the lines of copra by DCP, the Dominican Coconut Products. A lot of them was coming from the Kalinago territory as well. So just want to reach out and touch each and every one of you. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, overseas number 305-432-9624, 305-432-9624. And yes, we're waiting a call from Mr. James as well, Edison James. You haven't reached out to me as well, and also Dr. Thompson Fountain. We expect him to join us as well as we discuss on and anybody else. I will thank Mr. Cabon for calling in. Those of you who would like to make your contribution on Mr. Barry. There's also an article out there that was written by his by Mr. Barry's son, Brinsley. I think he's on Facebook. Let me just see if I can get this article and we can share some of the points from his son, Brinsley, on his dad, Mr. Barry, how he was, the person he was, the type of individual that he grew up with. And Mr. Barry, as I said, that a lot of us can identify with the type of person he was in terms of his community outreach, how he really spoke and worked hard on behalf of the people of the Kalinago territory. And this article I'm going to read there is by Mr. Brinsley Barry, the son of Mr. Barry. My dad, Francois Barry, was an extraordinary man. My dad, Francois Barry, an extraordinary man known for his numerous roles and tireless dedication, made a lasting impact as an educator, cricket historian, sports enthusiast, and Kalinago parliamentary representative. His contribution to his community and the Dominican indigenous people was immeasurable, leaving a legacy that will never be forgotten. As an educator, Francois Barry believed in the power of knowledge and its ability to shape futures. He's dedicated countless hours to teaching and inspiring young minds, always encouraging them to reach their full potential. His passion for reading was unmatched, as he believed it was the key to opening doors and broadening horizons. Francois instilled a love for learning in his students, leaving an indelible mark on their lives. Beside his dedication to education, Francois was also a cricket historian and a sports enthusiast. He recognized the importance of preserving the history and tradition of the game, ensuring that future generations would appreciate and understand its significance. Francois could often be found sharing stories and anecdotes about cricket, captivating anyone within earshot with his wealth of knowledge and enthusiasm. As a parliamentary representative, Francois Barry demonstrated his unwavering commitment to his community. He fought tirelessly to bring pipe-borne water to the villages, and a vital resource that significantly improved the daily lives of the people he represented. Furthermore, Francois transformed the Jolly John cricket field, providing a safe and vibrant space for local sports enthusiasts to gather, compete, and foster community spirit. Francois was not only an outstanding public servant, but also an astute businessman. His entrepreneurial spirit allowed him to contribute to the economic development of his community, creating opportunities and employment for many. His efforts showcase his profound dedication to the well-being and prosperity of his indigenous people. Beyond his achievement and professional endeavors, Francois Barry will be remembered most for his genuine interest in the development of the indigenous people and community of Dominica. He approached every undertaking with passion, compassion, and a deep sense of purpose. Francois' love for his family and friends radiated, making him a beloved figure amongst those fortunate to have known him. While his passing leaves a void that can never be filled, Francois Barry, indomitable spirit and remarkable contribution will forever be etched in the hearts and minds of all who had the privilege of crossing paths with him. His legacy lives on in the lives he touched and the causes he championed. Francois Barry, a true force of nature, will be missed but never forgotten. That was written by his son, Mr. Brinsley Barry. Just want to extend sympathies to Brinsley. He really captivated his father, cover everything about his father, captured everything about his father as an extraordinary man, Francois Barry. Just want those of you out there to call in, make your contribution. We're expecting some more calls to come in as we discuss. We might wind down early tonight, but tonight we just focus on Mr. Francois Barry. 449-3096, 449-3097, 449-3095, overseas number 305-432-9624, 305-432-9624. Also WhatsApp 265-4334. You can also make a contribution on Q95 FM on Facebook as well. Let's take this song as we continue here on Q95 discussing here. Listen to the workers' voice as we speak about Mr. Francois Barry, the former parliamentary representative of the Kalinago territory, who passed away last Sunday. And good evening, welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hello, Mr. Spark Sector John.
Yes,
How
sir.
are you?
Mr. Edison Chenfield James, the former Prime Minister of Dominica. Good evening to you, sir, and the family.
Is that Mr. Hector John?
Yes, it is. It is Mr. Hector John. I'm hearing you clearly. Are you hearing me clearly, sir?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
I just wanted to join with the others. I heard Mr. Ron Green, and I heard you referring to the piece written by Francois Barry's son and others. Just want to join in extending condolences to Mr. Barry's wife, Francois Barry's wife, and family on his passing. Those of us who knew Francois, interacted with him, know him as a outstanding human being, a very good person, a dedicated, committed, affable man who cared much for particularly his family and the people of the Kalinago territory, whom he represented in Parliament, having played a significant role in molding the future of so many of them. He being a teacher for, I understand, all of 31 years in that capacity. He obviously had a tremendous effect on shaping lives, and went on after he had exited that particular field of endeavor, became sometime after that the parliamentary representative, having won the by-election in 1993 after Mr. Warren Sanford had resigned from the position, and then winning the general election in 1995 to become the elected parliamentary representative at that time, to join the administration, the United Workers' Party administration, which I had the honor to lead a very, very good team. Yes, I heard Peter Carbon earlier. Peter Carbon was part of that team. Mr. Barry, in his capacity as the parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, played a vital role in helping to shape that ministry and to shape the education policy and program of the United Workers' Party. We were known as among other things, the Education Party. Mr. Barry's passion and two of the things that he really was strong about was bringing water to the territory. He worked passionately on that, aid representation, and he didn't have to overexert himself in that regard, because the party of which he was a part, the people whom he associated with in the government were very much in sync with bringing water to the territory, which we did as a tribute to Barry's persistence, his insistence, and his understanding of what his people needed. He was also very proud of being the parliamentary representative when some 93 acres of land was added to the physical space of the Kalinago territory. I remember him at the function which was held, the handing over ceremony, being very, very proud. I think that was one of his proudest moments. People remember Barry for his enthusiastic approach to sports and cricket in particular. So his role in the development of the Johnny John Park and all that it meant to the people. I even know, as we think of Kevin Hodge and the other people from the territory who have emerged as stalwart cricketers, we associate Barry with the effort there. So that is the Barry in a way. I said it in another forum that one of the things about Barry, he was a consummate parliamentary representative. And he left no stone unturned in terms of understanding what his people wanted and ensuring that when representation was made to him by his constituents, he recorded those representations so that he was always on top of his game. So he had his notebook. I remember him showing me his notebook and the extent to which he had everything written down. Every approach made to him, every commitment he made, every area of representation that he thought was appropriate, he would record it so that he wouldn't forget. And I think everybody would remember that Mr. Barry always looked after the entries. He always followed up. He was not one of those who would give you 6 for a 9 and give you stories about why he didn't do this and why he didn't do that. He would make sure that he followed up with respect to any commitment he gave, that whatever he identified in the constituency that he was not immediately able to attend to, he would record it so that he dealt with it. I think many of the institutions in and around Dominica will record the direct representation that Barry would make to them with respect to this constituent. So yes, I will be sadly missed, and everybody knows about his astuteness when it came to the cricket record and being on top of the game as to who did what when, as far as cricket is concerned. And I said earlier that on another program that people know Barry for his meticulous record keeping and his sharp brain and memory when it comes to matters to the cricket. But it wasn't only there. The number of times that Barry would, remind me of what commitments, what public statement had been made by this or that or minister, how many days it was since the parliament last met, how many days since the beginning of the parliament that the prime minister was out, and how many days since a commitment was given that had not yet been fulfilled. He would often call me just to talk about these things, and picking up the news not only in Dominica but around the region and the world as it affected humanity. And so Mr. Barry will definitely be missed. He would often comment to me on the situation with respect to functionaries who were charged with the responsibility of looking after the welfare of the people of the Kalinago territory. That he lamented the fact that they were upset and they did not pass. He did not see this person or did not see anybody from this sector of the society and of the governing machinery of the country. Did not see them. He's not seen them. Where are they? They're absent. And so on. He would complain about that. He would lament the fact that the health care and service in the Kalinago territory was lacking. But Barry was always willing to not only speak, but to be available to help in whatever way he can. He would often stop by me here in Hatton Garden on his way to either the center or the pharmacy in Marigot or the credit union, and have long chats, which I very rarely appreciated, because we would speak across topics, and he would speak with passion and enthusiasm. He's a good man, and I believe that everybody who came into contact with him would regard him as such. Had no enemies. I don't think there's anybody in the Kalinago territory, indeed in anywhere that Barry had come in contact with, that would say this man is a man who holds any animosity, who holds any grudge, who has any issue. He would speak mind, but he would remain a good human being to everybody.
Mr. James, Mr. James, any takeaways? Any takeaways from Mr. Barry's personality or his representation in the Kalinago territory? Something that really stands out with you about Mr. Barry when he was parliamentary representative, or even maybe after his retirement from politics? Something that really stood out with you about Mr. Barry?
Well, I said so many of those.
Yes, no, but I know you said a lot. I just wanted to that's one that really. I know you said a lot about what you all did together. I just wanted to one that really stood out with you on Mr. Barry.
The meticulous way in which Mr. Barry would pay attention to the representation that he had to make on behalf of his people. I mentioned earlier. I don't think I know of any other parliamentarian or parliament representative who made such copious notes and recordings of the things that he had to do for his people, either things that he identified himself on his own or representation which had been made to him and commitment he would have given to the people who made that representation to ensure that he delivered. And if he couldn't give them exactly what they wanted, that he was able to get back to them and say, look, this is what I tried, this is what the situation is, this is the outcome, this is how we are going to go forward. That is one of the things I admire about Mr. Barry.
Thank you very much, Mr. James, Edison James, former Prime Minister of Dominica, Mr. Francois Barry served with him in Parliament from 1995 to 2000, and they worked in the best interest of Dominica and the Kalinago people. And hearing from Mr. Green, who called in earlier, Mr. Carbon, and Mr. James, these gentlemen worked together in the best interest of Dominica. They also had Mrs. Vernice Bellamy, you had Mr. Norris Prevost, Mr. Julius Timothy, Mr. Earl Williams, Mrs. Doreen Paul, the late Mrs. Gertrude Roberts, and these individuals really, Mr. Norris Charles from the Roseau Valley. You also had Mr. Dennis Labassi as a senator, and John Baptist. These individuals work together. There's also Mr. Joseph Hunter, who was part of that setting as well. Mr. Romanos Banis, the late, also was part of that team in government, who really worked hard to develop Dominica Utica Fekeshoi 2 and that is something that stays in our mind in terms of money was meeting money. You hear what Mr. James, you had Mr. Green said, Mr. Peter Carbon. We've seen this happening right now in politics in Dominica, in our government, where power reps representing the people in the best interest of the people, not about they were servants of the people, not about themselves, not about getting for themselves, but empowering the communities. And that was Mr. Francois Barry, a humble man. Somebody told me that they like Mr. Barry smiley, always smiling, always humble, going about his business. Very nice gentleman that the Kalinago people has lost. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Good evening, Sparks. How are you doing?
Mr. Norris Charles, former minister.
That's right.
Welcome, sir. Coming. I'm really happy that you called in. You were the parliamentary representative for the Roseau Valley constituency. And what ministry you held at the time? Trade?
Well, I did trade and marketing and foreign affairs.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, for calling in. I'm very happy that you called in. Can you just tell us your experience with Mr. Francois Barry while you all work together?
Oh.
Go right ahead.
Oh, sure. Well, I must say that I was very fortunate to have served in government, the United Workers' Party in government with Francois Barry as the parliamentary representative for the Carib territory, and he was the
parliamentary secretary.
He was parliamentary secretary
in the Ministry.
Yes, in the Ministry of Education. And I must say, the education ministry under Ron Green, I think that was the best team, I think ever in the Ministry of Education in Dominica. Because when we came in and where we took education, to the extent where, we brought universal secondary education in Dominica, we started it. So, and Barry was part of it, as was said, he was the junior minister in that ministry, and together with Ron Green, they did a heroic effort in that ministry. So Barry, as a teacher, for so many years, Barry as the PAL rep for the Kalinago territory, Barry as an enthusiast, sportsman, especially cricket, and as a person, as a husband, as a family man. I think Barry really was, a dedicated representative for the Kalinago territory. I was lucky and happy to have served with Barry. He was very jovial. Barry was a humble man, but he was a hardworking and a man that is really paid attention to details by his copious notes in every field, whether in politics, whether in sports, he played a role. But I think that his greatest achievement as the PAL rep for the Kalinago territory, in my view, well, two of them I can mention. One, I think Mr. James mentioned those, that when we United Workers Party came in 1995, there was no pipe-borne water in the Kalinago territory, and that was one of Barry's main focus, was to ensure that he brought water to the territory, and we will all remember him for that. Barry, water for the territory, and I think that is very important because water is life, And then he, as the PAL rep, he ensured through the United Workers Party that we brought pipe-borne water to the Carib territory. And as Mr. James said, the second main achievement, I would think, is that we expanded the territory itself, by some 93 acres or so. From St. Columbus time, when the Carib territory was subdivided by the British colonial, we, in 1995, we extended the Carib territory boundaries. And many people don't realize that, but that is a major achievement for the Kalinago people. So I think Barry, I would say he has been one of the best parliamentary representatives for the Kalinago people. And, and again, as a politician, he was approachable. Anybody could approach Barry. Barry would represent the territory by speaking to kings, princesses, and the barefooted man, the pauper man. He could approach anybody, and he was just a very loving PAL rep. He was a teacher, first of all, because most people in the Kalinago people, the elderly, would know him as Teacher Barry, But as a politician, I think he represented everybody, irrespective of your political persuasion, no matter or your social status. I think Barry represented all the people of the territory. And even when he retired, when you listen to all the radio stations, Barry would speak to make representation on behalf of the people, whether the condition of the schools, whether the clinic, whether whatever it is, he would speak on behalf of the people. So really, he never retired in representing the people. So I on behalf of the people of the Roseau Valley, and I would like to extend my deepest condolences to his wife, his children, his family, and his numerous friends. I know in Trafalgar in particular that Barry has relatives in Trafalgar, and to them I extend my deepest condolences. I pray that his soul rest in peace eternally, and that he will never be forgotten. He's gone, but will never be forgotten by his people in the Kalinago territory, by Dominica on a whole, and by the United Workers Party. We will all cherish his memories.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, for your contribution. We really thank you for your valuable contribution tonight. We had Mr. Ron Green, we had Mr. Peter Carbon, we had Mr. Edison James, and now we have you, like anybody else who served with Mr. Barry, to call in as well and make the contribution. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, and all the best out there.
It was a pleasure. Take care.
All right, God bless. We are listening to the Workers' Voice here on Q95, the 7th of September 2023. We're just chatting tonight about Francois Barry, one of our stalwarts who have passed on. He served as a member of parliament for the Sally Bay constituency of Kalinago territory from 1993 to 2000, but he also served as parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports from 1995 to 2000. So let's take a short break. I'm going to come right back as we play this. We are in the independence season right now. Since we reached September, it's independence season, so we're playing this one, the Levy Dominic, for you.
Moi pas jamais ça, Dominique t'es tout comme ça. Moi pas jamais ça, Dominique n'y parlait comme ça. Moi pas jamais ça, Dominique n'y côté comme ça. À nous baiser nous pour développer pays nous. Levez Dominique, levez, pas quitter les tomber. Levez Dominique, levez, ici on paradis. Levez Dominique, levez, pas quitter les tomber. À nous tomber, pour lever Dominique nous. Pour your pays, Dominique ou bienvenue. Ou mi belle life, et mi on t'a quoi. Ou c'est mettre cadence, et puis musique couillon. Ou ni belle voyez, kaki et white kouboli. Levez Dominique, levez, pas quitter les tomber. Levez Dominique, levez, c'est en bas.
Yes, Levy Dominique, written by yours truly tonight. With us playing some, with us reaching out, touch each and every one of you. Yes, we are talking about the late Francois Barry, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 79. And he was parliamentary representative of the Kalinago territory from 1993 to 2000 as part of the United Workers' Party. Sorry, two-part two. And we hearing some, we heard Mr. Green, Miss James, Mr. Norris Charles, Mr. Peter Carbon, and something that happened under the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports was decentralizing the youth rally, and by doing that, they also built pavilions in the different communities. So when they moved to Portsmouth, I think at Benjamin's Park, you also had one was built in Dubla, on the Dubla playing field that was built by United Workers' Party. Also the pavilion at the Geneva playing field, built by United Workers' Party, and also I think on the Cassibros playing field. So United Workers' Party was moving the youth rallies around Dominica and ensuring that people have different experiences in different communities with the youth rally, and young people were going all day and bonding and socializing, networking, not just staying in Roseau Central, but moving the young people of Dominica around the island. Good evening and welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, are you listening to us? Hello? This person is not listening to us at this time. They will call back. Please call 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. Overseas number 305-432-9624. And also you can WhatsApp us at 265-4334. Anybody from the Kalinago territory would like to call in and tell us about the experience with Mr. Francois Barry as a member of parliament, as a teacher. He was a teacher. He taught a lot of you at the Sally Bay Primary School. You can even tell us about your experience there with him, and how he molded you to the person you are right now in terms of a politician, a teacher, nurse, farmer, whatever field that you chose, but the life lessons that Mr. Barry instilled in you. I am sure that a lot of you are still proud of the role that he played in your life, in your lives growing up. Also, Mr. Barry, when we spoke some time ago, I heard Mr. Norris Charles that he has nieces, family in the Roseau Valley in Trafalgar. I know he has some nieces there, Bernice and the others. Sympathies to you, Mr. Barry as well. And I have some family linkages because all the Barrys who came into Dominica were part of the Barrys in the Lafayette, Laron area in La Plaine. So some of them moved to Salisbury, Loda, Wharton Waven, Trafalgar, and maybe Pilit area as well. So all the Barrys you have in those areas came from the Barrys who came from Ireland and moved to Laron. So Barry and I shared that discussed that information some time ago. Interestingly, we had that family linkage as well. So the Barrys in Salisbury, Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Yes, good night.
Good
I
night.
would like to send my deepest condolences to the family of Mr. Barry, especially for his wife and children. Mr. Barry he and I are two brothers' children.
Okay.
He lives on the east and I live on the south.
Mhm.
And I have never heard anything bad about Mr. Barry. I know that he had loved cricket, and I myself played cricket with him in Cricket Reservoir. And at that time, we was a young boys. So I cannot say nothing about him. He was a cool man, and he was a loving man. Okay?
Thank you very much for your contributions. Where you from? Where you from, Petite Sophia area?
I'm from the east
East La Plaine area.
Plain area.
La Plaine, yes, I'm La Plaine. So you from the
So his father and my father was two brothers.
okay. So you from Casgary or Laron?
We in Plaisance.
Plaisance. All right.
We was born. My father was born in La Fonchette.
Yes.
So when I heard about his death, I was very sad to hear about his death.
Okay. Sympathies to you and your family on the passing of Mr. Barry. Thank you for calling in, sir. We truly appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, God bless you. Yes, you're hearing the type of person Mr. Barry was. As a young man, always loved his cricket. And you will find that coming in as we discuss Mr. Barry tonight. He was really into his sports, as I said, having discussions with him, talking with him, when Athens made the West Indies team, he was so excited, and they called me, boy, Spags boy. We Spaggy boy, we have a new man on West Indies team, and he was very, wanted the Hodge to have a permanent place as well, because Hodge has the Carinago linkage as well. So that is a person he was not about himself. You like to see young people, you like to see people empower themselves, excel, and that would be good for him. Does enjoy his humble retirement, and that was Francois Barry for you. Yes, those of you listening via Q95 FM radio on Facebook, I just want to say good evening to you. Those of you listening to Q95 radio live, good evening to you. Those of you away out of Dominica listening, we just want to say good evening to you. Those of you in the Carinago territory, good evening to you, and sympathies from the United Workers' Party on the passing of the man of his soil, Mr. Francois Barry, who passed on Sunday. And this is what the United Workers' Party would like to see happen to Dominicans on a whole. They can emulate what Mr. Barry did as an educator, as a community man, as a teacher, as a politician, on behalf of his people. There are a lot of us who go there and it's about ourselves, and Mr. Barry legacy was about service to the people. When your people are doing well, you're also doing well. When they're not doing well, you're stressful. They come to your home, they bother you, they trouble you for everything. But when they're working, when they are making money for themselves, when they're developing themselves, building their homes, and that is what the team Mr. Barry was part of 1995, and that's why I will repeat. You take a vacation 2-part-2. United Workers' Party. You heard Mr. Norris Charles and Mr. James mention it, and Ms. Green and Peter Carbon. 93 acres of land, expanding the Carinago territory in the Wakama area, Richmond, incarceration on that end after Seneca. So they extended that by 90 acres. To ensure that the Carinago people have more land to do what they have to do to empower themselves. And Mr. Carbon spoke about the trust as well. It didn't happen. We just want to ensure that going forward, that things are done to empower the people. We last week when they had that quote unquote consultation in the Carinago territory, you heard of promises. Every time is a promise. And nothing substantial is being done to better the lives of the people in the Carinago territory. When I work in the banana industry, as I said earlier on, you had that kind of vibrancy in the Carinago territory. You could go through the Carinago territory and get food, get anything to eat, get your craft. I know it is still happening, but not to the extent that the people who would employ. Right now, you have the road situation that is creating a dust problem for the people in the Kalango territory. The rural community economy is practically dead because of people. A lot of us will not drive to the Kalango territory right now because of the conditions of the road, and that's a turn off for business in the rural Kalango territory, where people would pass through, buy the jelly, buy the cassava bread, the baskets and whatnot, the crafts from the Kalango people directly from them. And these are the things you'd like to see happen. But I think the death of Mr. Phosphor Barry has revived that discussion in the Kalango territory, where more needs to be done to empower our indigenous people. And I'm hoping that it will not just stop there, but will continue to have that type of dialogue. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, good evening.
Sparks, what's up now?
Good. And you?
Well, not bad at all.
Yes.
A very sad moment, not only for the Kalango territory, but for Dominica in general.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right ahead.
Yeah. Because the fact about it is that he's from an area where the Caribs or the Kalango people as they call now, work significantly harder during those rough days, and he was a people's person. He was a people's person. I don't remember Phosphor Barry, not having the time to do anything for his people. Right? Not only when he was parliamentary representative, but even, every time that he had the time and they went to him, he would in fact do his very best to assist them as much and as best as he could. So he was very enthusiastic, and he was very promising, and he was very helpful. And by doing so much in the territory, he did it for Dominica. He did it for Dominica on a whole. So I want to extend my deepest sympathies to his family. It's a great loss. This is some of the things. This is one thing that we have to expect in life at some stage, but it's easier said than done. And the people, the other people in the territory, including at Kingston, right, and the United Workers Party, because he has never dropped his guard. He has never resigned himself from the United Workers Party.
No.
And he always spoke in defense of the United Workers Party. So he was a great man. He was a great citizen of Dominica, and he was a great helper. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Yes, Mr. Barry never swayed nobody. He never allowed people to purchase him or disrespect him. All the years we hear about Mr. Barry, where he stood on principles, on values, on what he wanted for himself and his people. He was always, as he tell me, Spags, I good. I just want my people to be happy. I good. Spaggy boy, I good. I always want people to be, my people to happy. Kitch, how are we doing? Kitchen and Laville, that was another good friend of Mr. Barry. He's always moved together. Just want to reach out to Mr. Kitchen and Laville. Good evening to you and sympathies to you on the passing of your friend, Mr. Phosphor Barry. And as I said earlier on, Mr. Barry served with the likes of of Honorable Edison James as the Prime Minister, Mr. Julius Timothy, who was the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ron Green was the Minister of Education. So Mr. Barry worked with Mr. Ron Green. You had Mrs. Gertrude Roberts, who was the Minister of Community Development, Mr. Earl Williams, Mr. Minister of Communications and Works, Mrs. Doreen Paul. She was the Minister of Health and Social Security. Mr. Norris Prevost, he was the Minister of Tourism. Mrs. Bernice Bellamy, who was the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism. Mr. Norris Charles was the Minister of Trade, Marketing, Trade and Foreign Affairs. Mr. Peter Carbon was the Minister of Agriculture. So that is the type of team we had from 1995 to 2000, and Mr. Barry fit in nicely as they worked for the advancement of Dominica. And I am proud to be a member of the United Workers' Party, where you had this type of individuals who served Dominica with all what they had. Nothing about themselves, but about serving the people of Dominica, serving the different areas. At that time, we also had the former priest, Mr. Alexander, who was the advisor to the Prime Minister at that time. And if I missed out anybody, you can call in and just remind me if I missed out anybody who served at that time with the United Workers' Party in government. As Mr. Labassem was a senator, Mr. Dennis Labassem from the Soufriere constituency, and Mr. John Baptist Holy from the Granby constituency. At a certain time, Mr. Bronco Briggs, Father Briggs, served to the latter end of the term as a senator on the United Workers' Party as well. And you had that team serving Dominica. What do we have right now, in leadership or for leadership in Dominica? Men and women who are about themselves, men and women who have failed the country for 23 years, that United Workers' Party, something United Workers' Party did from 1995 to 2000, that they didn't abandon some of the projects that the Freedom Party started. They continue with them. They saw these projects as part of and parcel of the development of Dominica, and they continue these projects and completed them. And that is what I'd like to see as some people who come there, and because it was done by these individuals, they destroy them. Look at the Petit Savant to Daly's Road. It was built by United Workers' Party, and nothing has been done in terms of ensuring that you open that road to have that type of development in the Dailies to, not even Dailies to Petit Savant, but this entire southeast. You have people from Granby going up to Petit Savant, Granby going up to Dailies, Lapland to sell the fish and the cakes and everything, and the people from Dailies and Lapland will go down to the cassava and farine and whatnot, Toloma to sell in Granby. Going to Roseau for them was easy. 30 minutes, you would be in Dailies from Roseau. So all these things were done by the United Workers' Party, and Francois Barry, the late, was part and parcel of this type of initiative to develop Dominica. You had the Fab Road, also had the road from Jimit to Wana, that open road. You saw what happened for close to about 8 to 10 years. The Layo Valley Road was out of commission, and you had your closest access was the Wana Road, built by the United Workers' Party. Forward-thinking people in the interest of Dominica, you had the Gillett to Pennville Road by United Workers' Party, and just to open the country and ensure that we didn't have dead ends, but we had open land for development and the advancement of the people of Dominica. Now you can just leave Portsmouth, and within minutes you're in Pennville. Also, you could just leave Portsmouth and go to Cool Soufriere at the top of Pennville, Delaford area. So these are the initiative United Workers' Party brought to Dominica, and Francois Barry from the Carlingo territory played a very vital role as part and parcel of that team. And tonight we are just honoring Mr. Francois Barry. If you remember Mr. Barry in any way, you'd like to share something about him, call in. The lines are open: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. Overseas number 305-432-9624, 305-432-9624. You also could WhatsApp us at 767-265-4334, 265-4334. We are speaking about the late Francois Barry tonight, and let's take this few bars from the song.
Ini belklete, ou ka we bien, en dans la me bonté, ou ba nou pernan di ou ma, se pinasyon fonte, o delis ou ba oui, à nous lever ton nous, lever ton mini, lever, pas quitter lui tomber, lever ton mini, lever, ici on va voir lever ton mini, lever, pas quitter lui tomber, à nous travailler pour lever ton nous. Côté, Dominique, c'est ça nous dit. À nous pas assis et puis faire politique détruire nous. Nous n'y avons obligation pour développer ta mini. À nous travailler ensemble, pas quitter des femmes par la chair. Levez ton mini, levez, pas quitter les tombés. Levez ton mini, levez, ici on va voir levez ton mini, levez, pas quitter les tombés. À nous travailler pour lever ton nous. Levez ton mini, levez, pas quitter les tombés. Levez ton mini, levez, ici on va voir levez ton mini, levez, pas quitter les tombés. À nous travailler, à nous travailler, à nous travailler pour lever ton nous. Dominique, c'est ça nous dit. À nous pas assis et puis faire politique détruire nous. Nous n'y avons obligation pour développer ta mini. À nous travailler ensemble, pas quitter des femmes par la chair. Levez ton mini, levez, pas quitter les tombés. Levez ton mini, levez, ici on va voir levez ton mini, levez, pas quitter les tombés. À nous travailler pour lever ton nous. Levez ton mini, levez, pas quitter les tombés.
Yes, Levi Dominique Pakiteli Tombe. Yes, Nobel Kalinago Kaki Whitey Kubuli. And we're discussing tonight, we're speaking about the Honorable late Mr. Foswa Barry on the Workers' Voice tonight. We heard them spoke about him on Sports Rap and other radio stations. For the week, people have been extending their condolences to Mr. Foswa Barry and Mr. Norris Prevost, who was Minister of Tourism in during that time, served with Mr. Foswa Barry, and he had this to say about Mr. Barry. Honorable Foswa Barry made his people and Dominic proud. A retired school teacher, an elected parliamentary representative for the Kalinango territory under the United Workers' Party from 1993 to 2000. Honorable Foswa Barry was a distinguished and respectful Kalinango gentleman. He had great respect for the elders of the territory and held the office of Kalinango chief in very high esteem. In 1993, he contested and won the by-election to serve the remaining 2 years in the seat made vacant by the resignation of the then parliamentary representative. Following that parliamentary representative at the time was Dr. Worrell Sanford. Following this, in May 1995, he contested the general election, won his seat, and was appointed a parliamentary secretary in the United Workers' Party government. During his 4.5 years in government as parliamentary representative of the Kalinago territory, Honorable Francois Barry's accomplishments in education, health, sports, agriculture, and tourism were life-changing to the people of the territory. Francois Barry, under the WP, accomplished the monumental task of bringing pipe-borne water to the territory, expanding the boundaries of the territory by about 93 acres, taking it to Wakama, obtaining construction of the Kasibru Secondary School, which serves the Kalinago territory, commencing construction work on the Barana Ote, the main center where visitors could come to experience both tangible and intangible Kalinago cultural heritage, upgrading of the Jolly John sports facility. These accomplishments continued and will continue for generations to come to be the pillars of development of the Kalinago territory and the Kalinago people. Because of the very high esteem in which Honorable Barry held the office of Kalinago chief, one of his passionate dreams and manifesto commitment was to build an official residence for the Kalinago chief. Alas, successive Labour government became parliamentary representative from 2000. Labour Party candidates became parliamentary representative from 2000 to Honorable Barry's death Sunday, 3rd September 2023, by which time Honorable Barry's dream of an official residence for the Kalinago chief was buried alive and died under the Labour government. Honorable Barry, thank you for your invaluable contribution to the upliftment of the Kalinago people and the Kalinago territory and the Kalinago people, and to our country, Dominica. May your soul rest in peace. Written by Mr. Norris Prevost, Queen of Dominica, Minister of Tourism from 1995 from May 1995 to January 2000. This was coming from Mr. Norris Prevost, who was the Minister of Tourism and served with Mr. Francois Barry. So you're hearing good stuff coming from Mr. Francois Barry. Earl Williams taught in that area as well as at the St. Andrews High School in that area in the Kalinago territory, and he taught a lot of students there as well. So I know that Earl Williams is extending his sympathies to the family of Mr. Barry, Mrs. Mildred Barry. Good evening to you and to the others, Brinsley and all the others. We just want to let you know that we're here with you during this difficult time as we mourn the passing of a friend, educator, community man, politician, sports enthusiast, sports historian, Mr. Francois Barry. Yes, the lines are open. You can call in. I saw the lines were blinking a while ago. You can call in 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. Overseas number 305-432-9624. (305-432-9624). WhatsApp 265-4334. And we're talking, we have a few more minutes to go, and we're talking about Mr. Francois Barry, who served with the United Workers' Party. And earlier on, I was speaking about sports. You know, I played when the Jolly John playing field was repaired. I played cricket as a young boy against Mr. Barry. Married men, you know, I had Aka and Elowa and those guys. I played cricket with them in the Kalinago territory under the name, I think the name was Married Men at Jolly John. And those are wonderful experiences. A young boy playing with this mature gentleman, respectful gentleman in the Kalingo territory. It was a wonderful experience playing there in the 90s as a young cricketer. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, are you listening to us?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
That's Q95?
Yes, Q95, the Workers' Voice. We're talking about Mr. Phosphor Barry tonight.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
Doing fine, sir.
All right, good. I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Barry. We worked together in the education department. He was a principal, I was a principal as well. And it's a very sad day, sad period for the people of the Kalinago territory. We've lost a wonderful soul, a very humble man, a very humorous man as well. But on the humorous side, can I give you a joke about Barry?
Go right ahead.
Okay. I remember the Dominican Association of Teachers had an AGM at the parish hall. And Ron Green at the time was the Minister for Education, but he couldn't come, so Mr. Barry represented him as the Parliamentary Secretary. So in his address, he said, teachers, when you're preparing your lesson, you have to bring concrete materials to the classroom, you know. This is not joke business. For example, if you're having a lesson about the cow, you have to bring the cow to the classroom. And you know what happened next?
Go right ahead. What happened? Everybody laughing.
Boy, but even Barry himself was dog laughing, man. It was really amusing that day.
Right.
I remember particularly for that joke.
Yeah. You just wanted to break the ice.
He was a wonderful guy.
Yes.
A very gentle guy, you know, and we always had a good rapport. Every time I met him in town, we would have a nice chat, you know. He's so rest in peace, man.
Okay, thank you very much for your input on that joke. Thank you very much. God bless you and your family as well. And you're enjoying your retirement, right?
Oh, life is sweet, man.
All right. God bless you and your family.
Thank you, man.
All right, blessed. Yes. You know, and that was Mr. Barry. He would always make a joke. He was very jovial when he called me and we were chatting. We always have some jokes. He'll always make some jokes, but he always bring up the positive and the real information that they want to bring out there, you know, about his people. And he always, you're gonna have a conversation with Mr. Barry. It can be cricket, it can be tourism, but he has to bring in the Kalingo territory and his people, and that was Mr. Barry. Good evening, welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Good evening, my brother Scrag.
What's up, my brother? How are you doing? How is the family doing? How is your mom doing?
Man, a little rough, but it's good. You know, once there's life, there's hope.
Blessings, my brother.
Yeah, I'm just listening to the program, and I listened to Sports Rap earlier on. I didn't know Phosphor Barry personally, right?
Yeah.
But for the past time, I've been listening to him on the radio. We would have called Matt or called Sports Rap and so. Apart from his tremendous knowledge he had in sports history, one thing that stood out with me about him, Spragg, is that you could see he genuinely care for his people, genuinely. Because he would always take the plight on his shoulder. You know, and that is the spirit. I think that is the human spirit, because I think the good book say, live for yourself, you live in vain. And live for others, you live again. He was a true servant in that sense. We come to serve others. And that is the greatest thing about life, my brother. Is to serve others. Just like how they said, Christ come and die for us. He gave his life for us. And that is the kind of spirit the United Workers Party have. And I really feel good about it. So I just think it's a wake-up call for all of us. You know, because we pass in. You know what I mean? And you have to care about people, my brother. You know what I mean? You're representing people, even if in whatever capacity, whether you're a public servant, a politician, a nurse, a teacher, you're a servant. We are all our brother's keeper. You know what I mean? So, as I said, I didn't know him personally, but that makes me feel good, you know, to see, yes, that's a genuine servant.
Your
of
next
the people, servant of God.
your next door your next door neighbor.
Public servant.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was telling you, your next door neighbor, he's called his family. Your next door neighbor across the street from you in Salisbury, his family, blood family.
Yeah, that's what I know. I hear you talk about the history with the Barrys, and that's what I noticed.
Yep. Small world.
Yeah, you know, because the world is a small world. We always that is why. And another thing I hear them say about him, he never get angry with nobody. He never mad with nobody. It's nothing personal. You know what I mean? Like you could see him got no malice, no hatred. You know, and that is the spirit. That is the human spirit. You know what I mean? And I'm glad he was associated with the United Workers Party because it's a party that really care about people. It's to better people, and people have to start to open their eyes and look out for yourself. See who is really in your interest. Who is working. As you say, he was a servant of the people. He never considered himself a master of the people. People couldn't talk to him. They couldn't approach him. From all accounts, he was an approachable man, humble. Anybody could talk to. He could talk to anybody. He don't care if you black, blue, red, green. And that is what life about. You know what I mean? And I just want to send out my condolences to him, even if I don't know him, but as a brother and a human being. I just find in his good work, my brother. Well done. You know, and that spirit will live long in the United Workers Party. You know, I mean, if you talk about Briggs, I know Father John Briggs, he had contest in 2000 because I was down there. And when I hear United Workers Party and the work they do in SPAC, that's why I come down in 2000 to stay, and I said, why going back and plant fig? I don't give up overseas already, you know. And then when they lose and the coalition come in, then I see that Wasco start cutting people water. I say, Then people start to cut the light. Because I don't need no doctor to tell me about economics, you know.
Right.
Once you could see what's happening. If the economy doing good, people will connect the water, people will connect their life, people put up pieces on the houses, people build their own washroom. And when after the United Workers Party leave office, I see everything start changing. Then banana, you can't get boxes, agriculture start to go down. I had to fly back, because it got no other choice. And that's another good thing about the United Workers Party. They're always encouraging people to work. We will help you. We will assist you. We will give you the guidance, the courage. But you have to help yourself, my brother. God doesn't help you if you don't help yourself. If God see you helping yourself, God will help you. And that is one thing I always admire the United Workers Party for. They want you to sit down and beg. You cannot be sitting down and watching SPRAG. SPRAG, insults everybody what they want money in their pocket.
Yep.
Money meeting more. And that is testimony. How many partners, I used to work in Cuba.
Yeah.
I used to give them Rasta man send job right to go up Cuba. And them man telling me, Ras, when you don't believe he was there, I used to have money and it used to make money. That is not no gimmicks, that's not no propaganda. That is real thing, SPRAG.
A real thing.
So first one life is just a testament for all of us, my brother, to do better, to look out for each other, to work a little harder, look out for each other, all that hatred, and you see them man trying to divide the country because of politics. That is not politics. Also was a true servant. That is what I call politics, to better people's life. We talk about his efforts to bring water to the Kalinago territory, to better people's life. And even when he leave, he always calling because you could see he really care about his people, want to see people better.
Yep.
And that is the love, my brother. So I just want to say again, condolences go out to him. And I hear somebody from Salisbury died too, I think it's Gina Farah.
Yeah.
Maybe your family too.
Yeah, Ganit away.
Yeah, I heard it on the thing, so I just want to send out my condolences.
Think pass as well, Erooks pass as well, Cleo.
Erooks, yeah, I hear Erooks, I'm Cleo gone, yeah.
Yeah, man.
But that's what we're doing, we're passing, my brother. Life is real short, and some people, the kind of wickedness they want to do, people, they think it's going to last forever, but evil cannot never last forever. Falsehood cannot never last forever. No lie cannot live forever. So I just say, long live Faswa. Long live the United Workers Party. Long live Dominica, my brother. I listening. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, my brother, for calling in. Yes, this is Bob Bally calling us. I don't know where he's trucking right now. 10-4. Just want to reach out and thank him for calling in. And as we say, that First Barry was about service, and he was part of a team that was about service. It's about serving people, and there are a lot of people, young people, who not who maybe, if you're born in the 2000s, you wouldn't know, but maybe your parents told you. But if you're born maybe in 1990, you maybe have a little. So if you're born 1990 to now, you may be 42, and you still 43, and you still do not know much about the United Workers' Party. But around that time, United Workers' Party took from the Freedom Party, more for the Freedom Party, who was there for about 15 years, and they continue towards advancing the country, not destroying what the Freedom Party did, but worked on what the Freedom Party said, the foundation they started, and what was good for Dominica, they continue with it. And that's where you had that type of growth, development, advancement. You had diversification of the banana industry moving from, but Peter Carbon will tell you that we moved non-banana crops from 11 million in 1995 to about 30 million by 2000. So if you bought the banana, revenue from the banana remains stable a bit in the region of $30 to $40 million. And you could see that level of this. So you're talking about $30 to $40 million plus about 30 million from non-banana crop. You're talking about $70 million in just agriculture. Alone revenues coming in, and talking about tourism. On the Norris River, we had the first heritage site, in terms of the Mount Twabiton becoming the first World Heritage Site in 1997. And so you had that level of advancement, that level of growth and development. You had the offshore development developing, the offshore sector developing. You had the agriculture everywhere. Every sector pillar was developing, and you had that type of growth. Mr. Norris Charles will tell you about how they move trade and marketing, how they developed that area, and we were exporting more to the region, to our neighbors in Guadeloupe, Antigua, and the other countries, and maybe further afield. And all that was part of a team that was about serving the people. Now we just had about 7 to 9 ministers at that time. How many ministers do you have now? 19. What are we getting? And they're serving less people in terms of our population. And what are we getting? What is happening to our country? And that is why you had that genuine concerns we had by Mr. Phosphor Barry, would call the radio programs and raise this concern, not about himself. Mr. Barry died at 79, so he was far gone already. His free scores on 10, he passed it by 9. So he was a cricketer, so he was batting well. It wasn't about him, it was about the people of the Kalinago territory, the people of Dominica, the advancement of our young people being independent, and that's how, as an educator, that's what the type of value he instilled in them. And right now, where are we? Our young people, school has reopened, and there's some children who cannot go to school because they were depending on the government to give them school supplies and uniforms, where our parents would work hard. Even some of us had to go to harvest bananas during the summer to help our parents get money, sell their bananas, to buy our uniforms to go to school. People like me had to go up to the farm to deflower and sleeve bananas, maybe on Saturday and Sunday, because during school I don't have the time. Maybe on weekends we'd have to go to the farm to deflower the bananas and sleeve and also tie. We had to make our contribution, and that in itself had the rural communities, the rural economy booming. Right now, what has happened? If you move from as far as Granby right back to Penville and come back on the West Coast, what kind of economic activities you have in agriculture? You hear a lot of money is being expended and people getting inputs. It's pure politics. Before you had the banana industry playing a role, and then the other non-banana crops complementing the banana industry, and people were making money. As they say, money was making money. Their farmers would call from the BMC and tell them, you have a check, you have close to free checks that amounting to $20,000 dollars. Come pick it up. But this farmers will say, don't worry about that. I'm selling my oranges and my dashing and my yam. But no, what is happening? And that is why that discussion, as we hear Bob Marley say, around Francois Barry death, it should be used as a catalyst to encourage our young people to work hard, to serve our politicians as well, to serve the people with respect, to serve the people with dignity, to ensure that your service is of value to the people, empowering them. And that's what the United Workers' Party is all about. I am proud to be part of the United Workers' Party. I am humbled by the history of Mr. Francois Barry, what he has done as a community man in the Karango territory, and Dominica by extension, working with a solid team that served Dominica from 1995 to 2000. And Dominica, it is your opportunity is on the horizon to bring back a solid team to serve you, to serve your people, to serve your country, and to advance your country, to bring back Dominicans who are out there. A lot of Dominicans out there want to come back home, a lot of them, but they will not come back home in this present situation. And we need to, and that's where also the role of electoral reform ties in nicely, where people are empowered. The power of your vote. You vote for who you want. There should be no price on your vote. No tickets, no pocket change, no promise on your vote. Your vote should be sacred, and you should go out there and exercise your franchise and vote for who you want. And that is why we in the United Workers' Party support electoral reform, but reform that will be in the best interest of the people. And I'm telling you, as a member of the United Workers' Party and a former member of parliament for Salisbury Constituency, Mount Rochard, reform that is not in the interest of the people will not happen in Dominica. Take it from me. Reform, listen to me clearly, electoral reform that is not in the best interest of the people of Dominica will not take place in Dominica. And we have to stand by that as Dominicans. We're not going to make trouble, we're not going to fight, but we have to ensure that we stand up in unity to ensure that we have effective electoral reform that will transform our country, transform the leadership of our country, not people buying people to come and run and standing there and becoming a rubber stamp politician or rubber stamp public servant, but people who come in there with dignity and pride that can stand up like Francois Barry and make the contribution on behalf of Dominica. It's almost time to wrap up. Anybody else who want to call in and make the contribution? I just want to thank you for making your contribution. I was a lone ranger tonight in studios. I'm happy that I stayed there and learned from the former Prime Minister, Mr. Edison James, former Minister of Education, Mr. Ron Green, the former Minister of Trade and Marketing and Foreign Affairs, Mr. Norris Charles, the former Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Peter Carbon, the son of Mr. Barry Brinsley Barry. Thank you for your write-up on your dad, and also the write-up by Mr. Norris Prevost, former Minister of Tourism, who also worked with Mr. Francois Barry. So, and all of you will call in and make a contribution. Those of you on Facebook, those of you WhatsApping messages, your WhatsApp messages. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we pay tribute to a stalwart, a father, a husband, an educator, cricket historian, sports enthusiast, community man, former parliamentary representative, former parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports, Mr. Francois Barry. I just want to thank each and every one of you who made a contribution tonight. I am sure that those of you listening or they learned a lot from about Mr. Barry, and also learned about how we can work together to advance our country as a collective and be servants of the people. And when you serve people genuinely, you're always happy to see them grow. You're always happy to see them advance themselves. And that is the legacy that Mr. Francois Barry from the Karango territory left with us. Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you. Very good work tonight, Sparks. Thank you very much, Mr. James, for your contribution tonight as well. And each and every one did a great job holding the fort. Get home safe. Thank you very much, Dema, and all of you out there in Texas. Yeah, it was nice being here with you. I just want to thank each and every one of you for your contribution. And as I leave, as I say, we are in the independent season. I'll be playing this song, Leve Dominic, throughout the season. I wrote that song since 1997, and it's still relevant. And I just want to play a few bars for you on behalf of the leadership of our party, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, our leader, our deputy leader, Mr. Clement Masler, our president, Mr. Lennox Linton, and our deputy president, Mrs. Francisca Joseph, and all of the members of the United Workers Party. I want to thank you for listening to us tonight. Let me just pick up the Rasta I met in town from Kings Hill, and he told me he have links in Salisbury. I just want to say good evening to you, Rasta. Mr. Peter Thomas down in New Jersey. Hope all is well with you. My sister, Augustina John, I see you on the light. Good evening to you, and sympathies on the passing of your uncle, Mr. Garnet Louis, and to my brother from another mother, Mr. Philemon Louis in Canada, Ajax, Canada. Good evening to you, and sympathies once again on the passing of your dad. Good evening, everyone. God bless you, and have a wonderful weekend.
Jamais ça, Dominique t'es tout comme ça. Ouais, pas jamais ça, Dominique n'y va les comme ça. Ouais, pas jamais ça, Dominique n'y côté comme ça. À nous, baisez-nous, pour développer pays-nous. Levez Dominique, levez, pas quitter l'île tomber. Levez Dominique, levez, quitter au paradis. Levez Dominique, levez, pas quitter l'île tomber. À nous tomber, pour lever Dominique nous. Pour your pays, Dominique ou bien béni.
Advisor Peter Navarro guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for defying a subpoena to give evidence on the storming of the US Capitol in 2021. Gary O'Donoghue reports from Washington.
Peter Navarro served as Donald Trump's senior trade advisor throughout his administration and has boasted of his part in a plan to overturn the election results on January the 6th, 2021, calling it the Green Bay Sweep, a reference to a tactic in American football. But this trial was about his failure to comply with a congressional subpoena issued by House investigators, a criminal offense that can carry a year in prison and a fine of up to $100,000. Throughout the process, Navarro insisted he was protected by executive privilege, though that defense was dismissed by the judge before the trial began. Navarro is the second member of the Trump administration to face jail for failing to cooperate with Congress.
North Korea says it has built a submarine capable of launching an underwater nuclear